In this video, we'll be discussing Standard 9 from the domain Curriculum, Teaching, and Learning, or CTL 9. CTL 9 states, program demonstrates a commitment to inclusion by ensuring that all children, regardless of their abilities, have access to and can participate in all aspects of the program. This includes providing necessary adaptations and supports to facilitate meaningful participation and engagement. What's the intent? To ensure that programs demonstrate a commitment to inclusion by providing all children, regardless of their abilities, with equitable access to and participation in all aspects of the program. This includes making necessary adaptations and supports to facilitate meaningful participation and engagement. By fostering an inclusive environment, programs can ensure that every child feels valued and supported, promoting their overall development and well-being. How many points are possible? This standard is worth up to 2 points, 1 point for documentation of inclusion policy and 1 point for documentation of implementation of inclusive practices. What is the recommended evidence? Should you choose to work on this standard, examples of evidence could include program policy that demonstrates commitment to inclusive practices, and lesson plans noting adaptations and documentation of learning environment and learning experiences. Here are some tips. Think about the following while planning the implementation of the standard. For children with diagnosed disabilities, how can you ensure they have equal access, active participation, and a true sense of belonging within the classroom community? How can you design the classroom such that it increases access to educational materials and centers and provides flexibility and choices for engagement for all infants, toddlers, and preschoolers? How can you provide the necessary resources, such as time, staffing, and professional development, to support inclusive practices effectively? Think about whether your program would be open to reserving a few spaces for children with disabilities. Often, children with undiagnosed disabilities may be a part of your program. How will you ensure children with neurodiverse abilities have access and can choose play materials in the environment based on their interests? Will your staff need training to individualize lesson plans based on IEP or IFSP goals? It's possible your selected curriculum has strategies for individualized lesson plans. Utilize the ECE environment indicators and elements of high-quality inclusion tool annually with your staff to inform your inclusion goals each year. Celebrate successes and keep learning about inclusion. Now your QIP. While thinking about action steps and deadlines, consider the following. What will inclusion in your program look like in a month from now, in 6 months, in 1 year? What PD might you consider taking to support the teaching staff and yourself to implement inclusive practices in the program? Would you consider involving your staff in the discussion about implementing inclusive practices? Perhaps you could discuss it in a staff meeting or in casual or formal conversations with staff. At what point might you consider using tools to assess the implementation of inclusive practices? Would you need to budget for PD, inclusion tools, or classroom materials? How much time might it take to plan and implement inclusive practices in your program considering the current resources and staff knowledge and skills? When planning your documentation, consider assigning a person to take photos and videos to collect evidence of inclusion in action in the classrooms and program. Write a short narrative to showcase inclusive practices in the program, and consider creating social media posts that inform followers about inclusion practices and use the same social media posts as narratives for documentation. For further guidance on the standard and your specific program's needs, please speak to your technical assistance specialist.